The night was quiet in the small town of Rockville, but it wasn't an ordinary night. The moon was full, glowing with an eerie silver light, and the air was charged with something unexplainable. In an old house at the edge of town, Ethan Carter, a 17-year-old boy, sat at his desk, staring out the window. His reflection in the glass looked different. His eyes glowed faintly under the moonlight. He blinked, and for a split second, he swore he saw a shadow move behind him. A chill ran down his spine. It was happening again. For as long as he could remember, Ethan had suffered from nightmares on full moon nights, visions so vivid they felt real. But this time, something was different. The nightmares weren't just dreams anymore. They were escaping into reality. The nightmare begins. That night, Ethan dreamed of a faceless figure standing in his bedroom. It whispered his name in a voice that sounded like shattered glass scraping against metal. He woke up gasping, his heart pounding. But the room wasn't empty. The figure from his dream stood in the corner, watching. Its presence was suffocating. The air felt thick, and the shadows in the room stretched unnaturally. Ethan tried to move, but his body felt paralyzed. Then the whispers began again. They weren't just in his head anymore. He forced himself to look at the mirror across the room. His reflection wasn't his own. It was the faceless figure tilting its head, mimicking his every move. And then, it stepped out of the mirror. The other's Ethan wasn't the only one suffering. Across town, others were waking up to their worst nightmares. Mia, the quiet girl from school, was trapped in her bedroom as the walls melted into a black void, swallowing everything. Daniel, the town troublemaker, saw his reflection smile back at him with too many teeth, whispering secrets he didn't want to hear. Sophia, Ethan's childhood friend, was staring out her window when she saw herself standing outside, looking up, waving. The town was no longer safe. The truth behind the curse. Ethan, Sophia, and a few others who had experienced the nightmares gathered at the old library, desperate for answers. They found an old journal written by a blind astronomer from the 1800s, someone who had lived in Rockville long before them. His writings spoke of the eyes of the moon, a curse that allowed people's deepest fears to break free on the night of the full moon. The moon is not just a watcher, it is a mirror. It reflects not just light, but our darkest fears. And once every century, when its gaze is strongest, nightmares walk among us. Ethan realized what it meant. Their fears weren't attacking them at random. They were feeding on them. If they didn't stop it before dawn, the creatures would become permanent. The fight to survive. The group decided to face their fears head-on. Ethan returned to his room and shattered the mirror, trapping the faceless figure inside. Sophia confronted her double, realizing it could only exist if she believed in its power. The moment she rejected it, it vanished into mist. Mia stepped into the black void willingly, and instead of being consumed, she took control, shaping it into something else. One by one, they fought back. And as the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, the nightmares faded. The aftermath, the town returned to normal, at least on the surface. But Ethan knew the truth. The full moon would return, and so would the nightmares. But next time, they would be ready. The end.